Dalton, Illinois has become a hotspot for local drama, with the latest showdown between Trustee Kiana Beller and Mayor Tiffany Henyard grabbing attention. This isn't just another small-town government issue, it's a full-blown saga filled with power struggles, accusations, and fiery debates. And let's face it, everyone loves a bit of political gossip. At the heart of the feud is a serious matter. Accountability. Trustee Beller has made it her mission to challenge what many perceive as a lack of transparency from Mayor Henyard. As tensions rise, Dalton's board meetings have become anything but quiet, sparking heated discussions throughout the community.
In a room filled with curiosity and concern, Tiffany Henyard addressed her constituents.
The Thornton Township Supervisor and Dalton Mayor invited the community to Township Talk, where she responded to our report about her use of the Township credit card.
Trustee Kiana Beller, known for being outspoken, has kept a sharp focus on Dalton's finances, particularly when it comes to questionable spending. Her concerns have grown in light of allegations against Mayor Tiffany Henyard, whose leadership has been described as unorthodox. Henyard is facing accusations of mishandling funds, overspending, and even intentionally creating a lack of paper trails to avoid scrutiny, stalking. This raises a question. Are these officials truly serving the public, or is it all political maneuvering? The situation came to a head during a recent board meeting when the topic of the mayor's inauguration expenses was brought up. It was revealed that the village had covered the cost for Henyard's inauguration, but Trustee Beller wasn't about to let that slide. With a sharp but professional tone, she asked, "Were we at a set dollar amount or no?" The room fell silent as the village attorney explained that the expenses were legal under the special event fund, which had already been budgeted for such occasions. He also clarified that individual invoices under $5,000 didn't require prior authorization from the village, and that it was prior that had been added to the charter as a means to board approval, but B wasn't convinced. She quickly pointed out a loophole, that events invoices have been strategically split into smaller amounts, each under $5,000, to bypass the approval process. When asked about this, the attorney admitted that while individual invoices under $5,000 could be approved without board approval, the board could still approve them retroactively. The loophole was clear, and Beller wasn't about to overlook it. She voted against the motion, standing firm in her belief that the process lacked transparency and accountability. I am about to address some things as the supervisor. There will be no comment. There will be anything. It will just be me addressing you guys to tell you what's going on. Mayor Henyard defended the practice, insisting the expenses were within budget and dismissing Trustee Beller's objections as unnecessary drama. She suggested concerns could have been addressed privately instead of in the public meeting, a preference for handling disputes behind closed doors that has been a recurring approach for Henyard. However, Beller stood firm, emphasizing the importance of transparency and open discussion. She argued that trustees have a responsibility to ask tough questions and ensure accountability for the decisions presented to them. Beller's statement resonated with the audience, sparking murmurs of agreement and adding to the palpable tension in the room. From the administration can adhere to some financial limits. We're not looking to necessarily. This isn't the first time Mayor Tiffany Henyard has faced accusations of bending the rules. Critics have pointed to her history of questionable spending, including tens of thousands of unaccounted for purchases, lavish taxpayer-funded trips, and proving expenses without proper oversight. Adding fuel to the fire is the ongoing federal investigation into her office. But what really stirs controversy is Hen's tendency to dismiss criticism, often labeling it as personal attacks. They talked about Jesus Christ. Henyard once remarked in a previous meeting, comparing herself to a martyr. Why wouldn't I think they're going to do me the same way? However, the real issue appears to be Henyard's approach to governance, or lack thereof. For many residents, the inauguration expenses are just the tip of the iceberg. The larger concern lies in a budget process that feels far from transparent. Trustee Beller raised alarms about the budget, which had been presented to the trustees with insufficient time for proper review. "We got it at 3:26 p.m., Beller said. "Visibly frustrated residents haven't even been able to look at it, and now we're expected to make an informed decision." Said Just. She called for a more detailed, itemized breakdown of the budget, similar to previous years. But Henyard appeared more focused on pushing the process forward than addressing those concerns, leaving many questioning whether transparency is truly a priority in Dalton's government happening tonight. Community concerns in Thornton Township, and a push to regulate with some call-out Office C control spending by Township Supervisor. And Dalton Mayor Tiffany Hen. For longtime observers of Dalton politics, Mayor Henyard's shift in behavior is striking. When she was a trustee, she was known for her meticulousness, often going through every budget line item and questioning even the smallest discrepancies. On one occasion, she asked about a budget line for tree trimming, saying, "I understand we're doing cuts, but I get a ton of complaints about trees. I think that amount should stay where it's at." She even advocated for increasing the budget for tree maintenance, showing her deep involvement in the detail sales. Fast forward to the day, and that same level of scrutiny seems to have disappeared, raising concerns of a glaring double standard that hasn't gone unnoticed by her critics. But the drama didn't end there. The meeting also delved into the ongoing village credit card controversy, which has been a topic of debate for months. The finance director claimed the cards had been canceled last year, but Trustee Beller wasn't convinced. If the cards were canceled, why are there still electronic warrant lists showing charges? She asked. Tension filled the room as Henyard accused Beller and another trustee of hijacking the village's bank accounts. Beller quickly refuted a claim with evidence, pointing out that emails from the bank showed Henyard's own team had access to the accounts, not the trustees. Once again, the narrative of obstruction and confusion seemed to benefit only one person. Henyard? What's particularly striking about these meetings is the growing divide between Mayor Henyard and the other trustees. While Trustee Beller and her colleagues push for transparency and collaboration, Henyard seems to be doubling down on her authority. She frequently reminds the board that they don't run day-to-day operations, a not-so-subtle way of asserting control. However, this heavy-handed approach has fueled perceptions that Henyard is more focused on consolidating power than serving the people of Dalton. And the residents are noticing, frustrated by the lack of progress and constant political infighting. Local residents have begun speaking out. "The real business isn't being done because of all this nonsense," said Resident Daryl Lean. "We need action from somebody who's actually going to work for the people, not themselves." With a village facing the financial deficit in the millions, Henyard critics argue that her leadership has only deepened the crisis, pointing to her lavish spending and inability to foster cooperation within the board. The call for change is growing louder. Y'all thought that I was young and dumb, didn't know nothing, and was gonna let y'all come and manipulate me. And I didn't do any of that. So because I didn't do any of that, you guys started this whole smear camp. What makes the saga even more compelling is the sheer audacity of it all. Mayor Henyard, who once prided herself on fighting for transparency and accountability, now seems to be doing everything in her power to avoid it. While Trustee Kiana Beller's persistence has earned her praise from some, it has also made her a target. Henyard has repeatedly tried to discredit Beller, accusing her of creating unnecessary drama and undermining the board's unity. But Beller isn't backing down. As the meeting wrapped up, it was clear that the tension between her and Henyard wasn't going away anytime soon. The two women represent opposing visions for Dalton's future. And their clash has come to symbolize the deep divisions within the village. For the fight is about restoring trust and accountability for Henyard. It's about maintaining control in the face of mounting criticism for the people of Dalton. This ongoing battle is yet another chapter in a long and messy story of local politics gone awry. The real question is whether Dalton can survive this leadership crisis, or if the village is doomed to repeat the same mistakes. One thing's for sure, this isn't the last we'll hear of Trustee Kiana Beller and Mayor Tiffany Henyard, and I'm the last one to give in. The leader of the village is on the brink of burnout. Stay tuned because the drama is far from over. Here's the thing, when you think the political drama in Dalton, Illinois can't possibly get any messier, somehow it does. Trustee Kay Beller and Mayor Tiffany Henyard might as well be starring in their own reality show at this point, and honestly, it would be a hit. The sheer level of chaos unfolding in these board meetings is unmatched. What's even more astonishing is how these conflicts are exposing deeper issues of seemingly unchecked power, financial mismanagement, and the constant battle for control.
Administration can adhere to some financial limits. We're not looking to
Dalton trustee Kiana Beller and fellow trustee Jason House revealed they had been repeatedly blocked from accessing basic financial documents they needed to make informed decisions. According to Beller, the finance department had outright stated they couldn't release the reports without approval from Mayor Henyard. We've been asking for months. Beller said her frustration was palpable. How can we make decisions for this village if we can't see where the money's going? Ard, of course, denied everything. I have never told anyone not to share payroll reports, she said, her tone dripping with exasperation. Why would I need to approve something like that? That's just not true. But here's the kicker. Beller wasn't buying it. She came prepared, pulling up emails that showed that the finance director had indeed cited instructions from the mayor as a reason for withholding the reports. The room went silent, and you could practically hear the collective gasp from the audience. Henyard, however, brushed it off as a misunderstanding, claiming the finance team must have misinterpreted her directions. Convenient, right?
There were many tense moments in tonight's meeting. At times, Supervisor Tiffany Henyard took on her fellow trustees when it came to money and expenses, even accusing some of them of spreading.
But wait, it gets better or worse, depending on how you look at it. The clash over payroll access is just one piece of a much larger puzzle. Mayor Henyard has been accused of creating a culture of secrecy within her administration. And this extends far beyond payroll. Take, for example, the village's credit card scandal. During the same meeting, Beller questioned why the board hadn't received any credit card statements since May of the previous year. It was Beller's job to figure it out, which wasn't, if we're paying these bills, we need to see what we're actually approving, she said. Then honestly, she's got a point. How can anyone sign off on expenses they haven't even seen? Orton Township Supervisor Tiffany Henyard is finding a way to spend money that trustees say they intentionally did not approve. Undescribing it to me tonight, Henyard responded with a mix of deflection and vague explanations. asserting that the credit cards had been canceled months earlier and that the village was no longer using Hen. Beller, however, demanded evidence, questioning why final statements weren't provided and why charges were still appearing on the warrant list. Henyard denied any wrongdoing and accused Beller and Trustee House of being overly dramatic and creating unnecessary controversy. Later emails from the bank revealed that Hahn's team still had full access to the accounts, directly contradicting her statements. The situation played out like a plot twist in a thriller, except it was real life, with Dalton taxpayers caught in the middle. She's one of the most recognizable faces that's been on the news lately, talking about the mayor of Dalton, Tiffany Henyard, and all of social media. Speaking of taxpayers, let's take a step back and look at the bigger picture. Dalton is currently facing a financial crisis, with a deficit running into the millions. Yet, instead of focusing on solutions, the board seems to be locked in. Endless power struggles, residents are understandably fed up. "We're the ones who suffer while they argue over nonsense," one voter said after the meeting. "How about they actually fix something for once?" It's a sentiment shared by many in the community, especially as the village's financial woes continue to worsen. Administration has faced severe criticism for the alleged misuse of public funds on personal luxuries. Administration has faced severe criticism for the alleged misuse of public funds on personal luxuries. Reports suggest tens of thousands of dollars have been spent on questionable items, including frivolous Amazon purchases, as one trustee described, and additionally, Hen's inauguration expenses, which he claims were intended for the people, are widely seen as extravagant and self-serving. Many residents have expressed frustration, with some equating the misuse of funds to treating the village's finances like a personal piggy bank. The community's patience is wearing thin, and the call for accountability is growing louder. It's a little bit of both. Let's talk about the title of this, because it's called Super Mayor, and that is what